Hi there. So after learning of what temperature is, next in our list is heat. So let's start the review about this heat. So definitely if we're going to define what heat is energy in transit. Remember, it is the energy that is being transferred whether in the process of conduction, convection, or radiation. It is the thermal energy that is being transferred from one object to another because of temperature differences. It is the flow from hotter objects to objects with lower temperature. It's like from the source going to the receiver. So an object does not contain heat. Definitely. There is no heat in any of those non-living. Once heat energy touches another object, it is converted into internal energy. So I want you to look at the animation and how the heat energy, once it touches the object, then all of a sudden this energy is converted into internal energy from one particle to another. When substance absorbs the heat, its molecules gains kinetic energy. So there is a vibration, they are moving, so they have now kinetic energy. So they move in a greater speed, the faster, the hotter. The object is said to be gaining internal energy. And heat is then a measure of the change in the total internal energy of the body. If the substance gives off heat, its internal energy decreases, like the ice when it melts. Then its internal energy decreases. Internal energy is proportional to the temperature of the substance. So, meaning to say, the higher the temperature, the greater the internal energy. So what about in terms of the quantity of heat? The amount of heat transferred is measured by noting the changes that accompany the process. Calorie is the amount of heat required to change the temperature of 1 gram of mass or by 1 degree Celsius. The person who discovered it, or the mechanical equivalent of heat, is James Prescott Joule. Was born 1818 and died 1889. He discovered that heat and mechanical energy are interrelated and that transformations from one to the other occur in a fixed proportion, which he called the mechanical equivalent of heat. So according to him, 1 calorie is equivalent to 4.1868 joules. That is how we measure. Calorie is the unit for heat. So now, why do some objects become hot faster than the others? If 10 grams and 1000 grams of water are heated using the same heat source, which one will heat faster? You are correct. It is the 10 grams of water. Why? It is because, or this shows that the amount of heat needed to change the temperature of an object always depends on its mass. Meaning, the larger the mass, the more heat is required. So therefore, heat capacity is now the amount of heat needed to change the temperature of a body by 1 Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius. Heat capacity of the object. And the formula to get a heat capacity is that Q divided by change in temperature. C refers to the heat and the unit is calories per gram degree Celsius. or joule per kilogram Kelvin. Q, the symbol Q, represents the amount of heat absorbed or released in calories. And this one, change in the temperature in degrees Celsius. Since heat capacity depends on mass, the amount of heat needed to change the temperature per unit should also be examined. So therefore, you have to calculate the specific heat of the substance. The specific heat of any substance is defined as the quantity of heat required to change the temperature of a unit of a mass or a unit of a mass of a substance by 1 degree. Different materials absorb energy in different amounts. So remember, the symbol C represents the specific heat and the units are joule per gram per degree Celsius or joule per kilogram degree Celsius. The symbol is the amount of heat absorbed or released in calories. Smaller m represents the mass of the substance in grams and kilograms, and less T for the change in the temperature. It may be or it means final or initial. Here are the example heat or specific heat of common materials, like let's say liquid as our material, so the specific heat is 4.18, solid water or ice is 2.11, water vapor is 2.00, dry air is 1.01, the basalt is 0.84, granite is 0.79, iron 0.45, in copper we have 0.38, and lead is 0.13. In a word problem such this, as an example, how much heat is needed to raise the temperature of 0.800 kilogram ethyl alcohol from 50.0 degrees Celsius to its boiling point, 78.3 degrees Celsius. Note that the specific heat of ethyl alcohol is 0.60 joule per kilogram degree Celsius. The given in the word problems are, we have the mass of the ethyl alcohol, which is 0.800 kilograms. We also have the temperature, and that is 15.0 degrees Celsius. In its boiling point is 78.3 degrees Celsius. And you have to take note of its specific heat, which is 0.60 joule kilogram per degree Celsius. So let us solve that. We have, after identifying the given, so remember that we have 0.800 grams multiplied to 0.60 joule per grams degree Celsius, then multiply it to 63.3 degrees Celsius, and it will end up with 30,384. So meaning to say, for you to calculate for the heat added or the symbol Q, you have to multiply the mass to the specific heat to the change in the temperature. And that's it for this day's review. Goodbye.